Hello again, my beautiful people. Jamaican youth in the building yet again. And in this video, we are talking about the Jamaica under-20 coach, John Wall. Yes, my beautiful people, it has just been reported that John Wall, the current under-20 coach or the former under-20 coach, has been recalled from the coaching of the national under-20 football team to now go back to duties with the senior Reggae Boyz as the assistant coach. The news has been released on the JFF Instagram platform. You can go and check it out on your own. So we're going to kind of talk about it a little bit. But before we get into it, I just want to ask you to do the usual. If you could hit that like button, it helps the video go to more eyes, and we want more people to see the video. And if you haven't subscribed, if you're new, please hit the subscribe button. We want to grow the channel here, and your subscription definitely helps to grow the channel. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I'm going to read an article. It's not really an article. It's on the JFF Instagram platform. It says, for immediate release, the Jamaica Football Federation has decided to recall Coach John Wall from duties with the U20 team so he can better concentrate on assisting Coach Hallgrimson in preparing for the senior men's national team for the numerous competitions ahead. This includes the Nations League, the Copa America Championship, and the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Wall, who coached the U20 men's team at the recent CONCACAF qualifying round in St. Kitts, is also the FIFA Talent Development Scheme Manager for Jamaica and assistant coach to Hallgrimson. Experienced coach Jerome Waite will work with the U20 team, which will go into the CONCACAF competition or the CONCACAF Championship final round World Cup qualifiers in July. It's always a joy with the national program. It's always a joy working with the national program. It will be great going into the qualifiers with this group of players. Qualification won't be easy, but this is something that can be accomplished. No, that's the end of the release by the JFF. And, you know, it's pretty interesting to read through that, because what they're saying, they're recalling Coach John Wall from the under-20s and putting him back to be assistant coach with the senior men's team, which is, what he has been doing before he became coach of the under-20s. But, he was expected to be coach of the under-20s because that's one of the reasons he was brought in here in the Jamaican setup to coach the under-20s, in addition to being the assistant coach of the senior team. So, for me personally, looking at this, there are several things that stands out to me. For one, they say that Jerome Waite will work with the under-20 team. Does that mean he's going to actually coach them, or he's just working with them until a new replacement has been found? And if that's the case, that means the removal of John Wall, wasn't really a recall as it was put, but a firing of Coach Wall. They removed them from the position. And whether or not they're gonna use a new coach, or they're gonna use Jerome Waite as the official coach for the under-20 teams in the championship round, it was a firing of John Wall, and one has to ask the question: well, why? Why was John Wall removed? And I mean, there are various theories floating on around there in the YouTube space and elsewhere. We hear that some people think it's because of John Wall's association with Craig Butler. He was using a few of Craig Butler's players, and Craig Butler was there in St. Kitts with the team and everything. Another theory is that John Wall wanted to use more overseas-based players in the team, but his hands were tied because the chairman of the technical committee came out and said that there was a quota system. He might not have used the term quota system, but that's essentially what it was, where there was granted to the under-20 team the use of no more than 7 overseas-based players. And if the coach wanted or felt like he needed any more overseas-based players, then he would have to make a justification as to why these other players were needed. Is it that we can't find any other local-based players or non-overseas-based players for those positions? Why you feel a need to use the overseas-based talent? I think John Wall had said also that he was looking for players with professional minutes, because going into the championship round, you're going to face players with professional minutes. I mean, if you think about it, I think under 20, there are only 3 or 4 spots available for qualification. So you're looking at the USA, Mexico, Canada, Costa Rica, Panama. All of those teams are going to be fielding very strong teams. And if you add Jamaica to that as a potentially strong team, that's 6 places, that's 6 teams and 4 spaces available. So we know, the USA are going to field a professional unit. They're looking at fielding, mostly MLS players, I'm supposing. And MLS has gotten really better, significantly better over the years. It's not a soft league like people may have perceived it to be years ago. I think in the US, they have started to take soccer, football very seriously, and now they have academies that are top notch. And their league, the MLS, is comparable to some of the best leagues in the world. I mean, if you look at the numbers in terms of gate receipts, the quality of the playing surfaces and the stadiums that they're playing in, the quality of the players that they're getting in, they're recruiting players from Argentina and Brazil, just like the European teams are. And so they're able to pay players big money now to come in. You have Lionel Messi, Suarez, Alba, all of these former Barcelona stars playing in the MLS and ginning up a lot of attention. Former World Cup winners are playing in the MLS, and that type of quality will filter its way down into the academy ranks and into the next pro ranks. And so the best of the best young players, if they can make it up to the MLS, then you think about those players playing in the under 20 championships for the US. There's going to be some really, really good players. In addition to that, you're looking at Mexico, who already has a very quality league going on in Liga MX. They have a similar system. They have very quality young players. Honduras has perennially been one of the best under 20 teams in the region. They're one of the teams that have qualified for the most under 20 World Cups in CONCACAF. So when you put those 3 teams alone up in the under 20, then you have the heavy hitters like the Costa Ricas and the Panamas, etc. You're going to have to bring, and Canada, you're going to have to bring a very strong team to the under 20 championships to be able to compete. And so was John Wall really wrong in his assessment of these are the type of players we need in order to qualify? If you want to qualify for this under 20 World Cup, we're gonna have to feel professionals, because that's what's gonna win. Now, on the other side of that conversation is the JFF, who is coming back and now saying that yes, we want professionally, yes, we want to qualify for the under 20 World Cup, but we want development. And so we're not going to just have a bag of under 20 players from overseas coming into the ranks and we don't have our local players getting a chance to develop. And it's an interesting conversation because you think about the under 20 players that are Jamaican born and bred, but they're playing overseas. The likes of Tariq Zimenez and Adujan Whisper Richards, are Duncan McKenzie. I'm not sure what his status is now. I know he was injured recently, but those are examples of three born and bred Jamaican players that are now plying their trade overseas. And it begs the question, would those three players, Tariq Zimenez, Dujan Richards, Duncan McKenzie, were they available for the under 20 team? Would those players be categorized as overseas-based players, or would they be categorized as local players? So in other words, let's say if John Wall had chosen 7 overseas players that were not born in Jamaica and added Dujan Richards, Tariq Zimenez, Duncan McKenzie to the lot, and now you have 10 overseas-based players. Would the JFF look at that as 10 overseas-based players, or would they look at it as only 7 overseas-based players? And the reason why I ask the question is that it makes you wonder what type of development they're talking about. Are they talking about the development of people with their feet on the ground? Or it's okay if you had your feet on the ground initially, or you were born with your feet on the ground initially, but you transitioned overseas and now you can come back to play. And it's a really serious conversation because I think everybody wants to see development in local Jamaican football, but at the same time, we also want to see a formidable team put out there as an under 20 team, and we want to see qualification to the World Cup. And I really wonder, because what does this mean now? With John Wall being pushed aside as the coach for the under 20 team, and Jerome Waite working with the under 20, which again I don't like some of the ways that the JFF uses the words, because they don't come out and say we're relieving him of his duties. They said they're recalling him. Well, I mean, it's really that you're relieving him of the duties of the under 20. But then you also don't say Jerome Waite is the coach for the under 20s. You're saying that he will be working with the under 20s. What does that mean? Is he going to be the coach, or is he not going to be the coach? And so it leaves the football, the under 20s, in a state of flux, because now you had one. If you're somebody that was in the opening round that's coming back for the championship round, you were working with one coach and now you're under a different philosophy. So I don't know. Or is it that Jerome Waite is only working with the under 20s until the JFF decides to hire a more permanent coach? And so, if the JFF or anybody sees this, it would be nice if they come out and say for certain Jerome Waite is the coach, as opposed to Jerome Waite working with the coach. And it's kind of strange, these relationships that the JFF have with these coaches, because I know they just they had recently, when Jerome Waite was assistant coach to Tapper Whitmore, they same JFF had relieved Jerome Waite, of his duties as assistant coach because of something he said. I'm not going to go over what that was, but they did relieve him of his duties over something he said. And now here it is that we're seeing Jerome Waite back again, which I'm a huge fan of Jerome Waite. I think he's a good coach. One of the things I do want to ask though is, you see a quality coach like a Lenny Hyde, who has been a very good youth coach, very, very good youth coach over the years. And I know the cry is that Lenny Hyde doesn't have his licensing. But the guy has won numerous Premier League titles, has dominated at the schoolboy level, and is not only dominating in terms of winning titles at the schoolboy level. We look at the brand of football that he has gotten Clarendon College to play, that passing game where you can see a system that leads to success. And Lenny Hyde has done that year in, year out. And it baffles me sometimes. How is it that the JFF manages to keep a coach like Lenny Hyde out of the national system, considering how well he has done? And this is no knock against Jerome Waite, by the way, but I just wonder why there is no consideration for Lenny Hyde. In any event, I mean, that's not the main reason I want to talk about this. Is just, there are so many parts about this, because to be honest with you, when you look at the performance of the under-20 in the recent tournament that they had, where we played Martinique, Grenada, and Bermuda, and eventually topping the group to qualify for the championship round. You look at the performance. Yes, they beat Martinique 1-0. Yes, we beat Grenada 2-0. Yes, we ended up beating Bermuda 3-2. Those were the margins of victory: 1-0, 2-0, and 3-2. I don't think a lot of the fans were very convinced, of the victory that we had, the victories that we have. They weren't convincing wins. They were wins that were acceptable. Okay, we got the job done, but I don't think people were overly excited in the way that the guys played. And I don't know if that's something that went into the removal of John Wall. I heard that there were other incidents. I know John Wall had some type of disagreement with the administration, because he wanted more overseas based players in the team, and the administration didn't want that. So it seemed like there was some tension there between him and the administration, and also there was the Craig Butler issue that I mentioned earlier. But all in all, I think that John Wall wanted certain players and he didn't get those players. So even if you want to say, well, the victories weren't really convincing, well, he never really had the players that he wanted. So I don't know how much you can ascribe to him, the unconvincing performances, how much of that you can ascribe to him. He did come out, I think, if I'm not mistaken, to say that, getting the players to grasp the way he wants to play is challenging as well. I think he said something to that effect. Maybe I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but, he did say that getting the players to play the system he wants to play is a challenge. And so he wanted players with professional minutes. And I don't know that I even can argue with that, because if you look at the championship round that's coming up, those are the type of players you're going to face. And you cannot bring in people that are developing to try and conquer teams that have more developed players that are professionals, and expect them to conquer them, qualify for the World Cup, and then go on to the well in the World Cup. It's tough. CONCACAF is a tougher region now. So we just have to accept that reality, and maybe that's the reality that John Wall is saying. Here is where I stand in it. I kind of can understand both sides. I understand that the JFF wants to do, develop local development, and the youth players on the ground needs more development, and then on the other hand, the coach is saying you need more players with professional minutes. I personally think that maybe a quota system in general is not a good idea. But if you're going to do a quota system, I don't think you can just say 7 people. That's too small of a number, considering what he wants. To say you can only have 7 people that are professionals. I wouldn't do that if I'm going to give a quota system. I would say a 50-50, right? So that you give him the ability to field at least 11 of his players, right? Give the coach at least the ability to field 11 or a starting team of the players, of all the players that he wants. Because in a way, you're kind of tying his hand. You're saying, yeah, you want X, but I'm not going to give you all the tools you need to do the job. I want you to do this job. You're telling me that these are the tools I need to do the job, and your JFF is saying to me, well, yeah, I know those are the tools you need, but these are the only tools I'm willing to give you. It's not these are the tools, these are the only tools I can give you. It's these are the only tools I'm willing to give you. So that I would at least give him the chance to field an 11 that he wants to field. And then if you want to have a quota after that, you can do that. But at least give him the opportunity to say, I at least want a starting team that's 100% my choice and not something that I am bound to you by. Because then how can you blame him if he fails? He wants something else, but you're not giving him the opportunity to do it. So in any event, I mean, he has been removed now, so I don't know where does that leave the program going forward. And it makes me wonder if at this juncture that we're talking right now, and I want Jamaica to qualify for the Under-20 World Cup. I really do. It's been a long time since our Under-20 team have qualified. I think it hasn't been since, was it the Sean Fraser group that qualified for the Under-20? That's a long time ago. Sean Fraser is coaching professional football, coaching Harborview now. Since then I haven't seen our Under-20 team qualify for the World Cup. So, I don't know where that leaves the program going forward or how it will affect the team going forward. But I will say, if at this point Jamaica doesn't qualify for the Under-20 World Cup, will we look back at this moment that the JFF has made and say, maybe we made a mistake right here in removing this coach? Again, the victories weren't convincing. Again, people could talk about the too much of an influence that Craig Butler might have had. You know what I mean? And I'm not blaming Craig Butler by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a very huge, I would say, very congratulatory of Craig Butler. I think he's a force for good in Jamaica's football. But I'm just looking at it from the JFF perspective because I know how they feel about Craig Butler. So they might not like the relationship that John Wall has with Craig Butler. So, I don't know what it is. I don't know if this is such a good move, though. Some people might say, well, yeah, the wins weren't convincing and all of that. But, who are you going to replace him with? And is the person coming in to replace him, is that person, are you convinced that this person is going to do a better job than John Wall? Again, they have said that Jerome Waite will work with the Under-20. They haven't come out and said he's now been installed as the new coach for the Under-20. So I want to know, where does that leave the program? And it's very concerning to me. It's very concerning to me, this move that the JFF has done. What are the grounds is that he's being removed under? He got 3 games to play. He won all 3 games. So it's not based on results that you're removing him. What's the real reason? Is it that the results were good but the performance was unconvincing? Or is it that the bust up that you may or may not, alleged bust up that you may or may not have had with John Wall, you didn't like how that went through, so you are now removing him? Is he too adamant that he needs overseas base players? Is that the reason? Or is it the influence of Craig Butler? What's the reason? And it just seems like JFF, I have to say this, finally, it seems like you have a problem with the relationship that you have with more than one coaches now. You see, your relationship with Lorne Donaldson ended not well. You know, you hired Vin Blaine before that. That didn't go over well. You hired Lorne Donaldson next. Then that ended not too well, even though the coach performed well. And all of those coaches did perform well. You know, you hired, you know, John Wall situation. That's another problem. You know, and the person who you replaced John Wall with, that will work with, you had an issue with him too. You removed him when he was assistant coach of on the top of Whitmore. So I don't know. I'm wondering, JFF, if this says more about you more than it says about the coaches. You know, I really wonder, because, like, why is it that this is happening so much when it comes down to coaching in Jamaica's football? Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to delve too much deeper into it. It's very concerning to me, because the under 20 is in a state of flux. We don't know who the coach is, and it's going to be someone that's starting over again, as opposed to having the coach there who had developed something with the players. There could be some continuity. Now that continuity has been broken, I know you're going to start over from scratch again. And if it doesn't work out, well, hopefully it works out. I'm not at the end of the day, I want Jamaica to win, and I am a Jamaica 100%. So win, lose or draw, whosoever is at the helm, I am 100% in support. I want to see the team qualify, but I just still have to ask the question. You know, I cannot say that, you know, I don't know. It's very weird. It's a very weird situation to me. I really don't know what to make of this. If this is a good or a bad move at all. Maybe there are things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But I'm going to leave it there. Not going to go much further. Again, on your way out, please hit the like button. Helps to send the video out to more eyes. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, as it helps to send the video out, as it helps to grow the channel. And until next time, walk good, take care of yourself. I'm out.